The Last Kingdom has been one of Netflix's most watched shows, and with good reason. That is why, in today's video, we are going to hone in on one of the show's biggest stars and see what we can discover about them. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. First of all, what is The Last Kingdom about, and what role did David Dawson play? For those of you who haven't seen the show, for starters, what the heck are you waiting for? The show is immaculate in both its writing and its performances, and deserves the largest audience it can possibly get. Also, you're straight up robbing yourself of one of Netflix's best shows, and it's time you got on the hype train. Anyway, The Last Kingdom revolves around the historical events in England when the land of multiple nations was being pulled together to make one unified country. This was obviously a turbulent time, which is one of the reasons it's such a great show. The drama and the intrigue are turned up to 11 during each episode's runtime, and it is nothing that should be missed. Many people did not want to see England unified and wished to remain as separate colonies in order to reap rewards of their own labor without having to share it with other colonies in England. Not only that, but the cultural differences and the geographical differences between some of the colonies in the English area are much more drastic than some would believe, which also would add some reasoning for kings and queens to remain separate. But some great visionaries wanted to see England unified as one nation in order to bring prosperity to all who live in the nation. Obviously, it's the way things are now, but back then, things were very different, and only one man saw things as they should be, and that, of course, was King Alfred. And here is the tie-in. I know you all were waiting for it. King Alfred is portrayed by David Dawson, quite excellently, may I add. Almost as if he was made for the role. But was he truly made for the role, or is he actually much younger or older than the real King Alfred? Was David Dawson even remotely close to the same age as King Alfred during his reign? Actors commonly portray characters that they are actually nowhere close to in terms of age. That's just part of the magic of Hollywood. But was that the case for David Dawson when he portrayed the legendary King Alfred? Let's take a look. David Dawson was born in 1982, which of course makes him the big 4-0 as of this recording. But when he first began playing King Alfred on The Last Kingdom back in 2015, he was 33. And when he was finished with the show in 2018, he was 36. So how old was Dawson's character on the show, and when did the show take place? According to the show's bio, the show takes place in between the 9th and 10th century, which makes sense according to the life of King Alfred, which spanned to the end of the 9th century. The 9th century began in 801 and ended in 900, and King Alfred was born in 848, which means the show takes place somewhere in the late 800s. King Alfred died in 899, which not only means that the show goes through the 9th century and into the 10th century, as the show obviously takes place past his death, but it also means that we can calculate King Alfred's age and compare it to Dawson's age. If Alfred was born in 848 and died in 899, that means that he was 51 years old when he died. So to answer the burning question, no, David Dawson was nowhere even close to the actual age of King Alfred when he died, or really any time he was on screen as the former king. But once again, that is the magic of Hollywood. And not only that, but David Dawson was clearly the right man for the job, wasn't he? I mean, can't we all agree that regardless of the age difference, there was no other actor for this part? Isn't this the reason actors go to acting school anyway? Speaking of acting school, when did David Dawson go? And which one did he go to? Unlike most actors in Hollywood these days, Dawson did not start acting at an early age. He actually waited to start his acting career until he was halfway through high school. Why couldn't I find something I was extraordinarily good at halfway through high school, instead of, well, never? Or at least not yet anyway. One can dream. Anyway, Dawson began to hone his craft in high school, and he never stopped since. Dawson worked so hard that he eventually found a way to get an offer to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, aka RADA. RADA is one of the finest acting schools in the world, so getting in there is like a doctor getting into Harvard Medical School, or a lawyer getting into Harvard Law, or any practice ever, except for acting, getting into Harvard. Long story short, this is a huge deal, and most likely fast-tracked Dawson's career to the heights he sees now. Dawson didn't immediately jump to stardom, however. He had to grind it out in the minors, as sports people would put it. Dawson graduated from RADA in 2005 and got work almost immediately after in theater. Dawson worked in theater for a few years until he began to pick up small roles in TV shows like The Thick of It and Doc Martin. Dawson then eventually landed some recurring roles in some French soap operas, which eventually catapulted him into working in English-speaking soap operas, which is what eventually set him into the stratosphere in terms of fame. While he's probably best known for his role in The Last Kingdom, he also had roles in some other amazing shows, such as Peaky Blinders, Luther, Hollow Crown, Dancing on the Edge, and Ripper Street. While he wasn't a born actor per se, he did work his way to the top and has certainly become one of the most foremost actors in the world. But will this be the last time we see Dawson as King Alfred? Dawson obviously left the show, but is there a possibility that he returns? I'm sure that some of you follow Dawson on social media, and if you have, then you would know that he has already sent his heartfelt goodbye to the fans of the show, which definitely makes us think that he will in fact not be back for the film that will tie into and finish up the story introduced in The Last Kingdom. The film will be called Seven Kings Must Die, and it will finish up the series as a whole. But is there any hope of Dawson being in the show? After the goodbye post that he posted on his Instagram and Facebook, I would seriously doubt it. Dawson said, "The Last Kingdom was an experience I will treasure forever. I made friends for life and worked with the most extraordinary talent both on screen and off. Thank you sincerely to all you legendary arselings and heathens who have supported TLK over its 5 seasons and the movie yet to come. I shall forever miss Lord Uhtred's childish insolence. Alfred Rex." With a post like that, it seems more than likely that Dawson has no intention of returning to the show, but it also indicates that if he was given the chance to come back, he certainly will. Dawson clearly enjoyed his time on the show and would love to come back and fulfill any role that they would have for him. But for those of you who have seen the show or know the 9th and 10th century history, you would know that King Alfred is dead. So how would he come back to the show? If he was going to come back to the show for a role in the film, he would have to come back as either a ghost in flashbacks, and since this isn't Star Wars, I highly doubt that he would come back as a ghost, which essentially guarantees that if he were to come back for the film, it would be in the form of flashbacks, because his presence would not be necessary to the films. I'm leaning towards the idea that he will not be in the movie, but on the other hand, films these days love to bring back as much nostalgia and former fame as they can, so there actually is a decent chance that he'll reappear for at least a brief cameo in the film. But because the chances are 50-50, I'm going to leave it up to you guys in the comments section. What do you think? Do you think that Dawson is going to be in the film? Let us know in the comments below. That's all we have for you guys today on the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you all in the next one.